We were basically brought up that when we were growing up that we'd be working at smelters, and that was just part of life.
There is some anger there that we find ourselves in this position, not through the work or the efforts of our workforce, but by decisions made in boardrooms on the eastern seaboard.
For 112 years, Port Pirie has been a one-industry city. Generations of men have followed their fathers through the smelter gates. Just as the giant stack dominates Port Pirie's skyline, so too the smelter dominates the very psyche of an entire community.
Most families have had people work at the smelters over the years. Yeah, it is vital. We've just got to make sure that it stays open.
As the nearest port to Broken Hill, Port Pirie was the natural choice for a lead and zinc smelter. Almost overnight, this once sleepy pastoral town became an industrial giant in the national economy. Today, it's the biggest lead smelter in the world.
We were a place that created a lot of the wealth of South Australia for a good 100 years. The railway station was always quoted as the second longest railway station in the Southern Hemisphere. More importantly, it was actually, I think, the most lucrative earner for the South Australian Railways for decades because of the huge traffic coming through from Broken Hill.
But now, not just a company, but an entire city faces uncertainty. Plunging zinc prices and a series of hedging losses have sent Pasminco into administration, with debts worth more than its entire assets. Until its fate is known, Port Pirie is a city on edge.
We had a fair bit of uncertainty at the smelters, and our suppliers were quite concerned, and if we hadn't made the decision with the voluntary administrators, they probably would have shut the smelters.
Testing times ahead for sure, and it's certainly a bit of a worry.
Workers like Peter Coombe and Ian Nitz can't imagine life without Pasminco.
Without the smelter, Pirie would be non-existent. I mean, there's 700 people employed at the smelters, plus all the associated industries. It would be the death knell of Pirie if the smelter shut down.
My father worked there for just over 40 years, and I've got two brothers. My eldest brother Graham, he's been there 27 years, and also my other brother Trevor, who's been there 20 years.
It's not just the immediate workers who'll suffer if Pasminco folds.
Everyone would be affected by Pasminco. While they have 700 direct employees, that's basically in production, there would be at least another 200 or 300 almost working on site in contract and in shipping areas, and many of the industries here and the facilities that are in Port Pirie rely on that base workforce.
Overall, though, there's a sense of optimism in Port Pirie. So many times before, the city has faced crisis and always bounced back.
I think in that sense, they've always been armed as a community against the danger of closure. But I think there's a certain optimism, therefore, that comes out of that.
Being the largest lead smelter in the world and being very competitive, we could be part of another operation, be part of Pasminco and still be profitable.
And I'd like to think that if things don't work out with Pasminco, that someone will take us over and we'll continue to grow again.
And in all this leaden gloom, there may be a silver, or rather magnesium, lining, with plans for a $700 million magnesium plant, SAMAG, near Port Pirie. All that's missing is the necessary government assistance.
The federal government need to realise that this is one of the regions which has been identified over the last decade as finding it hard to get development. SAMAG is a gilt-edged opportunity for this area.
If everything works out well with us at smelters and SAMAG goes ahead, and it will just be fantastic. The town will grow and grow and grow. It'll be back to its old days of 20,000 plus population.
For now, at least, it's business as usual at Port Pirie. The lead bars keep mounting, and the smelter still belches its familiar smoke, while a community sits tight in the hope it's the start of a new and prosperous future rather than the twilight of an era.
Australia must have a lead smelter. This is the best in the world. And are we going to ship our concentrates overseas, or are we going to treat them here like we have done in Port Pirie for the last 112 years?